So our next section involves percents. The first question we're going to look at is finding a percent using the percent proportion. What percent of 56 is 42? When you're setting up your proportion, again, remember that a proportion is two fractions, and that first fraction is going to be the part over the whole. Then it's going to be set equal to p over 100. And that second part, the p over 100, is always going to be set up that way. So which is our part and which is our whole? What percent of 56 is 42? 56 is going to be the whole, and 42 is going to be the part. So we're going to go 42 over 56 equals p over 100. Go ahead and do your cross multiplication. 56 times p is 56p, and 42 times 100 is 4200. Divide out the 56, and p is equal to 75. So the solution is going to be 75%. There is a second method to finding the percent in a problem like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the percentage equation. And this should look very familiar to you because what we're going to do is we're going to use our translation skills again. We're going to go from English to math. So in this case, what percent of 40 is 2.5? We're going to take a look at those first two words, what percent, and we're going to assign it a variable because we don't know anything else about it. So we can say X percentage, or you can just simply say X. Now the word of means times, and then we're going to keep 40 just as it is. The word is means equals, and then we're going to bring down our 2.5. So your equation should be 40x equals 2.5. Now isolate the x, divide by 40, so x is going to be equal to 0.0625. Remember that when we're converting from a decimal to a percentage, we're going to move that decimal point 2 spots to the right, and that's going to give us 6.25%. In problem number 3, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Instead of looking for the percentage, we're going to be given the percentage, and this time we're going to look for the part. So the question is, a dress shirt that normally costs $38.50 is on sale for 30% off. What is the sale price of the shirt? So what we want to do is go ahead and describe the situation. And it's the original minus the discount equals the sale price. So we can set up an equation and substitute the known values. That's going to give us 38.5 minus 38.5 times 0.3 equals S. 38.5 times 0.3, and again, this 0.3 is just representative of the 30%, is going to be 1155. 38.5 minus 11.55 is going to be 26.95. So the shirt is going to cost 26.95 at 30% off. Now there is a second way of doing this. What you can do is you can multiply the original times the non-discounted portion, and that's going to give you the sale price. So if something is 30% off, that means that you're paying 70% of the original price. So what we're going to do this time is multiply that 38.5 by 0.7, and that's going to send us directly to the sale price. So 38.5 times 0.7 is 26.95. And that matches up with what we found in the first method that we worked out. In problem number 4, we're going to be given a percentage and we're going to be given a part. And this time we're going to be looking for the whole. So 125% of what number is 17.5? Again, I'm going to use the equation to work this out. So 125% is the same thing as saying 1.25. Again, remember that if you're going from percent to decimal, we're going to move that decimal point 2 spots to the left in order to get the decimal. So we've got 1.25 now. The word of, again, means times. We're going to take what number and we're going to assign it the variable x. Is means equals, and then we pull down the 17.5. So now we've got 1.25x equals 17.5. Divide out the 1.25 to isolate the x, and then we find that x is equal to 14. Before we move on to question number 5, we need to look at our first formula. This is the simple interest formula. Now, interest is the price that you pay for borrowing money, or it's the price that you earn for when the bank borrows your money. That's a whole other thing that you'll cover in economics. So interest is calculated by multiplying the principal times the rate times the time. Principal is the original amount, so it's the amount that's deposited or it's the amount that's borrowed. Then the rate is the percentage that you're going to receive every year on that borrowed money or on that deposit. Then the time is the amount of time calculated in years that the money is going to be sitting there, or the amount of time that it's going to be collecting interest. So interest equals principal times rate times time. We simplify that down to I equals PRT. In problem number 5, we're going to use this formula. And it says you deposited $840 in a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. You want to keep the money in the account for 4 years. How much interest will you earn? Well, the first step whenever we've got a problem like this is to always choose the correct formula. So the formula that we're going to use here is I equals PRT. What information do we have? It says you deposited $840. So that deposit is the principal amount. So that's going to replace the P in the formula. As we move on, it says that it earns a simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. The 4.5% is the rate. We do need to change the rate from a percentage to a decimal to be able to work this out. So 4.5% is also 0.045. Finally, it says you want to keep the money in the account for 4 years. So because it's 4 years and we're doing this in years, we're just going to insert 4. Now, if it had said 6 months, 6 months would be half of a full year of 12 months, so we would put in 0.5. Again, remember that with time, we're always going to be doing it based on years unless we're told to do some other way. What does 840 times 0.045 times 4 work out to? It works out to $151.20. So at the end of the 4 years, you'll have an additional $151.20 on top of the $840 that you put into the savings account to begin with.